Okay, well,
Hi.
hi everybody. Nice to see you there, Robert. Thank you for joining today.
Really
Well, hello everybody. My name is Pete Buchanan, and I am with Montana Campus Compact. Unfortunately, Josh Vanek cannot be with us again today, so I'll be standing in while he's away. You join us today for the 7th and penultimate installment of the Centering Indigenous Knowledge webinar series,
all the way up.
as we hear from our guest panelist, Robert Murie from Stonechild College. But before I hand over to our MC, Dr. Carla Bird, I want to take a moment to acknowledge our event sponsors, without whom we wouldn't be able to run the webinar series. So a special thank you to the University of Montana, Montana State University, Reach Higher Montana, and RJS Associates. We sincerely appreciate all your support. So without further ado, I will hand it over to Dr. Carla Bird. Carla, all yours.
Thank you so much, Pete. We feel very honored and privileged once again for Stonechild to join us. It really was the goal of Montana Campus Compact to help raise awareness of the richness of Indigenous knowledge in our state and center the people and institutions who lead the movement here. Today, we will be learning from Robert Murie, who is a Cree language instructor for Stonechild College and helped create the Rocky Boy Cree Language Nest program. Stonechild was chartered by the Chippewa Cree Business Committee in 1984. At that time, it was the feeling of tribal leaders that the establishment of a college was necessary for the preservation and maintenance of the Chippewa Cree culture and for the educational training of its tribal membership. SCC stresses the importance of preserving the Chippewa Cree language, culture, and tradition. The college is committed to meeting the needs of the community, tribal members, tribal programs, and is dedicated to helping promote pride in each tribal member's Chippewa Cree heritage. Stonechild offers an Associate of Arts degree in Cree language, which includes classes such as Cree Writing 1 and 2, Cree Language 1, 2, 3, and 4, and a Cree Language Lab 1 and 2, as well as Chippewa Cree History and Culture. Stonechild also offers an Associate of Arts degree in Native American Studies, as well as an Associate of Applied Science degree in Native American Art, with an emphasis on Chippewa Cree art. So today, Robert Murie will be presenting on how Stonechild College centers Indigenous knowledge. So Robert, I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you, Carla. And thanks for asking me to share with some of the things we do here in Rocky Boy at Stonechild College. Thank you very much. And I just kind of more or less as far as what, excuse me, my voice is not coming as clear as I wanted, but anyway. I wanted to start this discussion as far as what I teach here in Native American Studies in the class of Chippewa Cree Religion and Philosophy. I believe that's what you want me to talk about here, to relay on to you. And so generally when I start with my first class, generally I start with a Genesis story of the Cree, and there are a little bit different versions from different dialects of Cree, but mainly what I gathered from the elderly people here, as far as the Genesis story is concerned, I try to impose and make that kind of like a priority as far as my lecture is concerned at the very first one. And so I'm really grateful, thankful that I got to hear these stories from the elderly people. But I'm sorry at the same time to say that I got to hear these all in the Cree language. My elderly people were not able to speak English. So they used to tell us younger people in Cree. And so the thing I'm sorry about is that when I translate from our language into English, I'm losing quite a bit of that story, of the Genesis story, because I used to see my elderly people, they used to not just talk with words, but they use their body language. Yeah, just looking at how they move around their hands, their arms, even looking at their eyes and their body movements, and while they're telling the story, and sometimes they'd stand up and dance and sing songs as far as this Genesis story is concerned. So those ones I cannot capture here right now, but what little I can remember, if I was to take my time retelling this Genesis story, it would take quite a while, a long time. My elderly people, they said, if we're going to go into minute detail as far as telling this Genesis story, we would spend anywhere 4 days telling that story. That's how long it would take. Of course, having breaks for breakfast, lunch, and supper. Other than that, it would take quite a while. And so, but first, I'll just try and shorten this Genesis story as close as I can. That's first topic I'm going to be discussing. The Genesis story brings, and then the next one, hopefully, I don't know how far I'm going to get along, how far I'm going to get with the topics I've chosen to discuss here. The other one is the creation of first man and respect for our elders, women, and children. I'm going to talk a little bit about God's laws. Fourth thing, I'm going to talk about respect of all God's creations. Fifth one, respect all of God's given ceremonies, like the sun dance, sweat lodge, ghost dance, horse dance, giveaway dance, sweat lodge ceremonies, name given ceremonies, and the belief that we have the umbilical cord, and then the female puberty ceremony, the male puberty ceremony, purification rites, feasts. When a person passes on, we have a journey feast on the 5th day, and after 1 year to the day that a person passes on, we have a 1-year memorial feast, we call it. Number 18 is demonstration of putting up a teepee for ceremonial use. And then fasting, there's different types of fasting that our people, the Crees, do. I'm pretty sure all tribes have stories regarding to what I'm talking about here. We have the grass dance, the belief we have in the fire, the thunder beans or thunderbirds, sweetgrass, sage, and cedar. Them are just some of the things I jotted down. I don't know, like I said, I don't know how far I'm going to get along with that as far as discussing these, but here goes that Genesis story for kind of like in really kind of like a shorter version, real short, because if I talk about it, take my time talking about it, I'll be here for a good while. But anyway, they say, my elderly people, they say, when God done creating this world and all there was that we see here, especially that time, the first time he made this world and all that we see. And he looked at it and looked around. He thought there's something missing about this place. And then that's when he decided he wanted to make an image of himself on the ground. I believe what I was told by elderly people has happened on the eastern side of this North American continent. I can't say exactly where it is at, but it's near the East Coast, they say, someplace around in that area. They say at that time of the morning when I'll say maybe the crack of dawn, when the person is when he was able to go ahead and see his shadow on the ground, that's when he drew his shadow on the ground over there in that part of the country. And before that, though, between our Creator God and our Mother Earth, they have what they call their children, like the sun, the moon, the stars, the air, water, the rocks, trees, all things that grow, all living things, animals, yeah, all of them. They all call them their children. And all these children, they all gave them responsibilities to help take care of this world, and then to help take care of the people that he is going to be making. And so that's that time, when that time was, he already gave him responsibilities, like I said. And so when he made his image of himself, he called upon this wind spirit. And then this wind spirit was out in the ocean over there, kind of like a hurricane. And it came across, and it got to where water meets land. That hurricane turned into a tornado. And it came across the country. And when that tornado as it was coming closer, it slowed down. When he had that, when he came to that sketch that he drove himself on the ground, that wind was really gentle, really, it went over. It went over that the one that he wrote on the ground, and that wind, it went over that form. It started breathing, is what my grandfather said. That's how God got his first man to breathing. And then next, what he did, he's called his other children, like these thunder beings. Right away, when he called them, they appeared. It was raining, thundering, and lightning. Then they came to that place where his image was. It rained. The rain was just gentle, really more like a mist. And when that rain and that mist went over that body real slowly, that's when they say the blood started flowing through this image that he made of himself. And then after the blood started flowing, they say, or people, they say, there was a lightning that came down and struck that being between the eyes and got his mind a-going. Very powerful, very powerful. That's how come our people, they say, what comes out of the mind should be positive at all times. Because of that, very powerful. And after that, he got him to breathe in. And as far as his mind is concerned, and then the thunder came along. When it thundered, that's when God started talking to its first creation. And this happened, like I said, I can't pinpoint exactly where, but on the East Coast over there someplace. And for us not to ever forget that this took place in that vicinity over there someplace, they said that's when he created these 5 great lakes over there, 5 of them, one for the head, arms, and legs, so that we will never forget that it was that vicinity when this happened. Something very holy happened over there. It's what my grandfathers, they said, sometimes as you go along, grandson, when you start to have a little bit doubt that there is a creator, you must look up in the sky at nighttime. You can see that Big Dipper. There's stories that go along with each of those 7 stars that make up the Dipper, as well as this Earth too, he said. On each side of Earth, there's 3 other big planets, with Earth being right in the middle. So there is 7 planets up there too, he said, as there are 7 stars to make up the Dipper, as there are 7 great bodies of water and 7 great land masses to make up this Earth. And then when a child is born, when the child is in the woman's womb until the age of 7, those children, they're pure, they're innocent, they're holy. They don't have no sin. They don't even know the word sin, what it means. So respect them, little children like that. They're holy beings. 7 and on under. And then at the same time, they said about these 7, when they were, after a while, after they're going to make decisions, they think back 7 generations. And whatever decision, major one they're going to make for the tribe as a whole, they look as far as 7 generations ahead. The decision that they're going to be making, it should hold up at least that long, even longer than that is what they said. So the 7 is pretty, to us, is very kind of like a number that is to be respected. Like I'll say, maybe it's holy. So like when we pray, we pray for long life for elderly people, although they're old, but we still pray for them to have a long life. That's number 1. Number 2, long life and good health. Good health and happiness, that's number 3. And good luck is number 4. 5 is, to have, number 6 is to have peace. Yeah. And then number 7 is for a creator to forgive us of all our sins that we have made. And that's what keeps these other 6 going. There's 7 things that we ask for, is what they say on elderly people. And so that's what I wanted to kind of more or less insert in there as far as respect for the creator. Some of my relatives, they said that some of our people never once mentioned the creator's name. They had so much love and respect, just his name. When people got sick or maybe lost a loved one, they're having a rough time, tough time, they would just say his name, and then just from there, just by saying his name, it used to doctor the people that are sickly, that having problems with losing their loved ones. They're all right, they're okay. That's how holy our creator's name is. They say, my elderly people. And so some of them are elderly people way back then. They used to never say his name all their lives. That's how much love and respect they had for him. And through his name, they wouldn't even name him. So they say, so we try to respect our creator as much as possible as they can. These are the things I talk about in the Chippewa Cree religion and philosophy classes. And then the first man, like I said, and then I just got talking about the first man and woman came after. Likewise with ours, with our story, it goes I guess I'll say the biblical version of that Genesis story, they kind of overlap one another, but the same thing too. And so the creation of first man, yep. And then the first woman was she was made from the man's left side, his left rib, the bottom rib. In Cree, we say isko spagai. And for that reason, that's how come man is weak on the left side, normally, a little bit weaker than the right arm. And as a woman, because she was made from that side of that woman is supposed to be on that side of the man when they're walking together, going someplace. And with our right or with our left hand and arm, we put our arm around our woman, letting them know how we feel about them. We have respect for them. We have loved them. We shown them politeness, kindness, respect them, who they are, because if without a woman, there wouldn't be men around, is what my elderly people say. So respect them, women, really nice. Yeah, so the woman is, she's responsible for bringing life into this world, they say. And then respect our elders too, women and men. I guess there's all kinds of different ways we could respect our elders for who they are because of their knowledge and their wisdom. And they didn't get old for nothing. They didn't have gray hair for nothing. They must have did something right in the eyes of our Creator. That's how come they're elders. We ought to respect them, especially the ones that we know that are leading good lives, that are respectful in the eyes of our Creator. Yeah, and the children too, like I was saying, these children, they're on loan to us. They're not ours but we could call them my children, my daughter, my son. But they're on loan to us, so we have to respect them. We got to take care of them. We have to be nice and kind. We're not supposed to scream at them, holler at them, cuss at them, grab their hair, shake them, their heads or their ears and slap them. We can't do things like that to these little children, because every time a child cries, God, he wants to know why, how come they're crying. And they see that we're abusing them just as easily as he gave them to us. He can take them back from us too. So they're holy. As soon as they cry, God hears them, and he looks down on them. He wants to know why, how come, what for. So as far as children are concerned, yeah, if we were to have that kind of love, if everybody was to have that type of a love for their children, then we wouldn't have no child abuse centers anywhere in the world. Likewise with women too, as men, Chippewa, Cree, men, they're not supposed to we're not supposed to hit a woman. Women are not punching bags. That's what my grandfather said. So respecting women like that. Excuse me. So that's what I wanted to say about this Genesis story, creation of first man, woman, in respect for elders, women, and children. These are the things. Yeah, there's a lot of many different things I could talk about why we should respect a woman, but those are, I guess, some of the important parts. I know there's a lot of important things omitted here. And then God's laws, those are the ones to follow. Man-made laws are all right, but God's laws are the ones my grandfather said. I guess they're the same thing we're talking about when you talk about the Ten Commandments. And so God's laws, there's no person can change, no two-legged person will ever be able to change God's laws. And so as long as you live, try and follow them, try and be honest with God in your everyday walk of life. my grandfather said that be honest and truthful to him. It's going to take you a long ways, my grandfather said. And he said to respect all of God's creations. Everything that he created, live in harmony with all things. In return, they'll respect you too. They'll let you live in harmony with them too. So, yeah, God's creations. When I talk about that, God's creations, I'll just go with that, and we can sit here and talk a lot about God's creations, and then respect all of God's given ceremonies, or God-given ceremonies. We have many of them here on our reservation, but we're supposed to respect them. Like I said, be honest with God. When you're following God through these ceremonies, God is going to recognize you. But you gotta live that way of life, and God will recognize you. Do things in a way that be pleasing to Him, and you'll get His attention. And once you get His attention, respect them. Respect His attention, and you'll be kind. He's a kind, caring, sharing, loving, merciful, forgiving being, is what my grandfather said about them. More than that, kind of put it all in a nutshell, I guess. I'll use that as far as to try and respect all of God's given ceremonies. And then especially when you have a right to, they give you the right and authority to conduct a ceremony, be very, very careful with that right and authority. Use it in a way that's going to be pleasing to our Creator. Take it long ways. Like one of our main ceremonies here as Cree people in Rockable is the Sundance. Sundance, we only can talk about it. First, not much. It's too holy, too sacred, and we only can talk just a little bit about it. If you want to know a little more about what they do in depth as far as conducting the Sundance, we have to use the proper protocol of giving tobacco to elderly people that know what the Sundance is about, and the stories and the stories that go along with that. And so I'll just say about that much, because I'll just go along with the Sweat Lodge too. The Sweat Lodge too is nice. When I start teaching about the Sweat Lodge, we have a family sweat lodge we made right by the creek, not too far from the house. And then when it's in good weather permitting, when I start talking about the Sweat Lodge, I take the students out there to see the Sweat Lodge instead of talking about it in the classroom. I take them out to the Sweat Lodge and start talking about it over there. A lot of good, wonderful, beautiful, useful information, educational information about the Sweat Lodge and what is symbolic to what it means, what it represents. How come we believe the Sweat Lodge is holy? There's different types of sweat lodges too, not just one sweat lodge. There's one for a name-given ceremonial sweat lodge, a name for sweat lodge. You go into sweat before you go fast. And that Sweat Lodge is a good, wonderful purification ceremony. And before we go to any kind of a ceremony, we're supposed to purify ourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually, so that we can be clean when we go to these ceremonies, because God's presence will be there, and we have to be clean. And at least 4 days and nights, we're not supposed to know a woman those 4 days and nights. And 4 days and nights after that ceremony is over, done with, they say that about that, keep it clean, keep it clean. Even when the person goes to Sundance, 10 days before that, you go into that Sundance, you keep your mind clean, your mouth, your ability to communicate with Creator. Keep that clean and keep your body language clean too. They say that because that Sundance is very holy, is what they say that to us. And you do all that as far as purification through the sweat lodge ceremony. Yeah, we have that. And we have that kind of a sweat lodge. We have a sweat lodge too, where they call it a doctoring sweat lodge, when they take sick people in there. Sometimes people too that having a rough time, tough time, getting over maybe one of their loved ones has gone on, passed away. Sometimes we have sweat lodges for them kind of people too. Helps. The sweat lodge is holy. It's been here beginning of time. One of the first lodges that was given to the Cree people. This is the way I understand my elderly people. And so that's how come we still use it. It's been here, like I said, so that since the beginning of time. It's still here. It'll be here for quite a while yet. The ghost dance. The ghost dance is another dance that we have. Ceremony, the horse dance, the giveaway dance. They're more some of the ceremonies we have here on the Chippewa Cree Reservation. And each of those dances I just got done mentioning, they all have their own, I'll say, bundles, like the Sundance bundle, Sweat Lodge bundle, Ghost Dance bundle, Horse Dance, and Giveaway Dance. They all have their bundle, they all have their pipes, their songs, and they all have their own way of praying there. And so that, if I was to sit here talk about all those things, that all those different ways, that we'd be here for a long time. But I'll just say about that much to them. They all have their own, and a person, before they can run any of these lodges, they have to be given the right and authority by a person that has that right to give that authority to another person to run these ceremonies. You can't just go in a sweat lodge and start running a sweat lodge because you don't have the right and authority. We're not supposed to do things like that. It's too holy, too sacred, powerful, these lodges. So they say to have respect for them. I'll say about that much for them. How much more time do I have?
Hi, Robert. We have about 25 minutes.
Okay, all right. Thanks. Is this kind of what I'm talking about? Okay, good. Okay, as far as the giveaway dance, the specific sweat lodge ceremonies, I think I got done mentioning them. Name-giving ceremonies, there's several different ways that they give names from here. That too, you got to have that right and authority to be given, so you can give names to. Yep. A lot of people have asked me to conduct that ceremony, to give their children, grandchildren, or people names. But I don't have the right and authority to do that. I never asked my grandfather, so I don't have that authority. But like I said, name-given ceremonies could be given in the sweat lodge ceremony. Name-given sweat lodge ceremony is what they call it. Or you could give names during the Sundance, when the Sundance is going on. I know people have been given names too in their own homes. People can give names A lot of people have their own ways of giving names too. So there's not just one specific way to give Indian names within our Cree, I'll say cultural ways of giving names. Yeah, there's different ways that they give names. So yeah, giving names is something serious. Name giving. I always ask my students, I wonder what kind of names our people had before 1491 when these visitors came from different parts of the world. Before that, I don't think there's any names like Robert or Carla. I don't think there's any names like that. I have some Cree. I got a Cree name, which in Cree we say kekek kaksiksik or kaksiksik kekek, which translated means swift hawk in my language. And there's another name that one of my grandfathers gave me. He called me White Wolf. That's what he called me, my grandfather. So I have two different names. So with that, as far as name giving ceremonies are concerned, these names, they say, with my name, I'll say Robert Parley Murie. I'm registered down at the Havre, Montana, in the courthouse as Robert Parley Murie. But when I was given my Cree names, my grandfather said I was registered in God's kingdom. When they say, when you're praying to a creator, mention your Cree name. That way they'll know who you are. Pretty, very important names according to what our elderly people said about our culture. Indian names. That time when God calls you back home, they said you're going to, in our way of belief is that they're going to, God is going to call out our Cree names and that spiritual being that we're named after, and then that pipe that we have in our hands and that sweetgrass in the time of death. You put that pipe and that sweetgrass in our hands, and then our name will be there. Them ones, they'll guide us back to where God's kingdom is. And those that pipe and that sweetgrass and tobacco, they have a purpose why we have them with us to take us back to our Creator's kingdom. Is what they say about these names. And when people are praying for us, when they mention our Indian names, well, God understands who it is that they're praying about. And so that's how these Indian names help us. Through our Indian names, they take us back to our Creator's kingdom. Very important, they say, these Indian names. And while you're living, you always have protection. Your namesake will protect you from all harm, evil, danger, bad thought, bad talk, bad something negative won't come around you. Just good things will come around you with these Indian names, is what our people, they say about them. And so, yeah, I just wanted to mention just a little bit, like a little insight into what these Indian names, how they help us in our lifetime when we're living this life. Living this life, they say when we're born, we come to this world, we're visiting this world, we're not here to remain all the time. So, like I said, so we have names during this, while we're living on this earth, we come to visit this earth. That's how come we're supposed to try and leave this. Whatever we do in our life, we're trying to clean up after ourselves, because you do that for the future generations. For the future generations, when they come into this world, as they grow, you'll see how wonderful and beautiful this world is, how God created it. So that's what our people, they say about this too, about our names. So yeah, umbilical cord. Oh, that is a long one too, umbilical cord. They say when you're born, and they cut that umbilical cord, they say when they cut it, you came from God's world, from God's kingdom. When they cut that, you're severing that part of life, you're leaving that part behind, and you're welcoming that you into this world, this life here. Yeah, so that umbilical cord is something nice, something wonderful, something good, something holy. And so that umbilical cord, they let that dry. Our people, they let it dry. And when it falls off, they give it to, if it's a male, they give it to an elder male person. The baby's umbilical cord, you give it to that elderly person that you want your little child to model himself after. You give it to that one that you have a lot of respect, love, because of the way he is, because he's a living God's laws. He walks it. He prays. He's kind, caring, sharing. Yeah. You give it to that person. You'll know what to do with the umbilical cord. And our people, they say that you do the same thing with the female umbilical cord. You give it to a woman, in the same way, and they'll know what to do with that umbilical cord. When you do things that way, then that little child will tend to grow up in the way you want them to grow up, like this person that you chose to give that umbilical cord. You'll be like a model for him to follow. So with that umbilical cord, they say all those children that ate from the same umbilical cord while they're in your mom's body, they say they are your brothers and sisters. They say that in Cree, we call each other neat son. Yep. So I thought that is why that umbilical cord is very, very, I'll say, holy. It helps out children in that way. We have puberty ceremonies too, for male and female puberty ceremonies. When a female has her first menstrual cycle, elderly woman, maybe that are grandmothers, maybe some of them great grandmothers, they have that ceremony and they look after that ceremony. They get that young girl, they keep her away 4 to 10 days, and they educate her, tell her these stories of how she should take care of herself as an indigenous female being, how to be respectful of all things. And regarding her puberty, they say if she takes care of herself the way the old ladies are telling her, teaching her, she takes care of herself, respects herself, in that way, they say she'll never have a premature baby. Her babies will always be born with full 9 months. They say that the children will always have good health when they're in their mom's body, and well, there's a lot of good things that they're told about how to respect themselves when they after puberty. Nothing untold. No cutting, beating around the bush. Just come right out and tell them the truth of how a woman is supposed to take care of herself. And she's supposed to, well, I'm not supposed to talk about these kinds of things because I'm a male person. So I'll leave it at that. Generally, when we talk about these things, generally we get some elderly women to come talk about this in our classrooms. And so I'll just leave it at that. For as far as male puberty ceremony is concerned, that one too, we're told at that ceremony. I never went through that, but there's my grandfathers, they were elderly men, and they told me what took place, what usually took place in there. Right there too, no beating around the bush. How I'm supposed to be, how I'm supposed to take care of myself in front of our Creator, Mother Earth, and all their children. I'm supposed to take care of myself in a way that is pleasing to all of them, to our Creator. And respect myself, respect our Creator, respect Mother Earth, all their children, all these ceremonies, respect all living things, respect all people. Yeah. I'm told that, especially when I start going out with a woman, young girls, and I'm supposed to respect them. I was told that, yeah. So as far as this puberty ceremony is concerned, right there too, as far as the elderly people, men concerned, they'll just come right out and tell you, yeah, the truth of the whole thing, the truth of the matter about puberty after puberty, how we're supposed to conduct ourselves as males in this life within our culture. It's a pretty tough position, but if a person can do it, they'll be doing themselves a lot of good. Purification, I think I talked about that as far as our sweat lodge ceremonies are concerned. Our feasts, when after a person passes on, we call, when a person passes away, the soul leaves the body, but the soul lingers around. According to Cree culture belief, is that soul will stay around for 4 days and nights, visiting relatives, friends that it has, goes around, visiting these people. It will not scare you when they do that. And then on the 5th day, there is a feast that they have for them. And that journey feast should be done as to the Crees as close to noon as they get. You could get that feast done as close to noon as you can. Even before, it would be all right too. They say that about them. And so on the 5th day, when the journey feast is over, done with, they say they let that soul go into or wherever our Creator is at. Some people call it God's kingdom. Some people just say God's home. That's where these souls go to. On the 5th day, they say, so that's the journey feast. That's what that's called. And then they say, elderly people said, when I had a little boy, me and my wife, my son, he passed away at an early age. And my grandfather said, the day that your son died, 1 year later, on the same day, on that day, he said, you must have that 1 year memorial feast for your son. So we done that because at that 1 year, they say God lets him come out of there, come from his home to come back and visit you. You might not see him, but you might be able to feel him when he comes over. He's going to come over with the relatives. He wants to come with them, whoever wants to come with him. And you make a feast, you have a memorial feast for him. So when your son gets there and all the people that are going to come with him, you'll have something to feed them. Things that your son liked to eat, as my grandfather said, cook those things. And maybe that year before, when people seen you had a rough time with your son's passing, maybe through it's not mandatory, not required, but it's up to you, grandson, he said, that maybe you can start buying some gifts for that whole year. And then people that were so kind, they helped you over that time of need when you're going through heartache for the loss of your son. Maybe there's people you could buy them some kind of gift to tell them thank you. And so, and then at the same time, too, you could maybe think about other people, whoever comes over, that you can buy gifts for. That's what my grandfather said about that 1 year memorial feast. And then after that memorial feast is 1 year after, you're going to feel better, you're going to feel okay, and you're going to have, you're going to feel happier, and knowing that you spiritually, you spent some time with him, showing your son you still love him, you didn't forget him. My grandfather said that about this 1 year memorial feast. Is that little bell, Carla? Is that telling me that I should? My time is over.
Well, no, well, you still got about 7 minutes.
Oh, okay then. All right then. Okay, thanks. Okay, with the 1 year memorial feast, and that I'm going to be demonstrating putting up a teepee to be used for ceremonial use, when weather permitting. We have a place out there by the college. We're going to put that teepee up there. If all goes well, I'd like to do that, because there are different ways, different teepees. Like we put up a teepee for a Sundance singing. They have 3 singing before we get to the main, the Sundance Lodge itself. And in that teepee, there's 2 teepees used for that. And majority of our ceremonies, the doorways will face south. Yeah, and so with that, in our Sundance Lodge, the door is facing south, and then the woman will stand on the left side of the doorway, and the men will stand on the right side of the doorway. And so when we put up that teepee, we put up that 2 teepees, one for the women folks and the other for the men folks. So because it takes man and a woman to bring forth a child into this world. So there's a lot of education when you're putting this teepee up. A lot of things. Each one of those poles there, they have a purpose. Why? How come? Why do you use that pole at the doorway and all the way around? They each have a meaning, a purpose. Why? How come they're used? The stakes, same way. The pins, same way. And when you put up them poles, there's a certain way that you put them up, and you gotta know how to put them up. Not you don't just put them up just any old way. There's a certain way that you put them. And them ropes too, when you tie them, a certain way you do that. And so all that, after you get done putting up that teepee, you could go in there. I want it to go in there, and I have one of my relatives that can start a fire with a flint. And I want him to come in, demonstrate how to start a flint fire inside that teepee. And meanwhile, I'm going to get some of my elderly people, elderly men, some elderly women, to put together I'll say a ceremonial type of food, having natural animals. I call these like the buffalo, the moose, the elk, deer, those are the call them God's natural animals. I don't call them wild animals, because if I start calling them that, somebody might think God is wild. So I call them God's natural animals. We bring those things in our ceremonies, natural food, natural berries, whatever, and then water, and then tea, yeah, and then we use those ones in there. The natural types of foods. They're the ones that had our people in good health for many years. So that's how come by doing things like that, we hope and pray that food would still help us out like that. That's what I want to do for that ceremonial teepee, that I want to demonstrate how to put that up for the young people, so that they'll, at least they could see it a day and time, maybe long after I'm gone, maybe they can still see that. And so the majority of our ceremonies, the door faces south. There's only one sweat lodge that will face the 4 different cardinal directions. That's sweat lodge I'm talking about, straight north and straight east. For springtime, it'll be right there in the middle of them, right there. That door will face that way. And in the summertime, straight east, that direction, say straight south, and the middle right there, that door will face there for summer. In the fall, likewise, same way. In the wintertime, same way. They say that door will. That's the only sweat lodge. That's the only lodge that I know of that will face different directions according to the season. And so, yeah, I just wanted to make mention of that too, about the ceremonial sweat lodge. And that door will face different directions. Fasting, there's different types of fasting too. Fasting, when, like around here, we have our sun dances. A lot of people go there. Sometimes there's over 100 people sun dance. It's sure nice to hear all those different 100 or some odd whistles going and drumming, singing, and that praying going on. It's just like a feeling in there that you can't describe it, but there's something you feel that's, I don't know, it makes you want to pray, it makes you want to, it's just something holy, I'll say, something spiritual. I sure like going to that place because of that feeling I get from that ceremony. And so with that, there's that type of a fasting. And sometimes when people are fasting in there, sometimes I'll say, they blank out maybe because of lack of food and water. But when they're black out like that, they say their spirit is being taken by our Creator. It's teaching them something, telling them something, or maybe giving them something, maybe some kind of a ceremony. During that time, they're out, and maybe they'll be given maybe some kind of medicine or song, something to doctor with, something that's going to be useful, so that they can help people that are sickly, maybe lost loved ones. When they wake up, they have that ability from that fasting in the Sundance Lodge. And at times too, some people, they say you can go look for that type of a knowledge, spiritual knowledge, fasting up the mountains. Got to be by yourself though. Got to be by yourself. You can't have anybody with you. For 7 days and nights, you go up there, my grandfather, without food and water, grandson. If you want to know something about God, after 7 days and nights, he said, all the sins that you committed, all except taking another person's life, that God will take care of that. But them other ones will be forgiven after the 7th day is over and done with. And you'll be pure, you'll be clean, mentally, physically, spiritually, you'll be clean, because God's children, spiritual beings and angels are clean. They'll come over and bless you. They'll talk to you. they'll give you something nice, something that will be useful, helpful. But you got to use it in a way that's pleasing to God. You can't be charging people, for that knowledge. After 7 days and nights, that's what God will do for you. You'll know something when you go up there 7 days and 7 nights. You'll come down. You're going to know something that you never knew or never maybe felt before in a spiritual way. And you're going to feel real nice feeling. And you won't be hungry and you won't be thirsty. You won't be tired because God will be there to help you. His Spirit will be there to help you. That's what my grandfather said. There's other ways of fasting like that for that kind of knowledge, and to go up there for maybe somebody is sick, you go up there for 4 days and nights for them to get all right. So that's what my grandfather said about that too. There's different ways. And maybe somebody lost a loved one, had a rough time, tough time. You could pledge to go over there and fast. It's going to be by yourself though. You can't have anybody go with you up there. You got to be sincere, they said. You got to be, you got to mean it from the heart. And then if there's ever something coming wrong with you, anything that's giving you problems, trials, tribulations, go up there on a mountain and take enough wood up there to last all night. And you go up there by yourself. You start that fire if you can with flint. And then when you start that fire, you start praying up there. Try and sit up with that fire all night and keep praying. Just that one thought in mind, praying about it many different ways that you can. Towards morning time, when that sun comes up, you're going to be all right. All that they say the night is holy. Even white people, they sing about that holy night. They say it's holy up there too when you're by yourself, with just that fire. That fire, something holy, something great. It's been here since the beginning of time, and it's seen a lot of good things, done a lot of good things, and it's going to be here long after we're gone too. Since the day God told him, he gave him responsibility to be with us, to be kind to us, and help us in our everyday walk of life, to be able to warm us up in winter times, cook our food, and be good friends to us. And what in return, if we abide by how we're supposed to take care of that fire, can't have no cussing around that fire, can't have no screaming, no quarrels, no differences. Yeah, you can't be telling triple X-rated jokes around that fire. It's got to be clean. You can't be feeding trash in there, anything like that. Keep it clean. And anybody that has me in their home, they want me in their home to be with them. I'll help them. But they got to, if they treat me like that, and if they want to feed me, they can feed me these natural kinds of foods, berries, and then that their delicacy, they say, is that bone marrow, that fire sure likes. It's like a T-bone steak to him, is what my grandfather said to that fire. You feed him these things, tobacco once in a while, and that kind of a grease too from this grease that you take that fat from these animals, natural animals. You take that fat and you put it in, and then make a grease out of that. That's what they like too, that fire likes. If you do those things, it's going to watch your doorway. It'll never allow nothing bad to come into your home. It'll take care of that. It won't let those things come in. Anything that's going to make you sick, cause you have problems, trials, tribulations, them things, bad words, bad talk, bad thought, those things, he'll stop all those things. But you got to live that type of a way of life. And you keep feeding that fire, my grandmother said, you keep feeding that fire as you grow. When you have children, he said, if you do that, that fire will always make it so you have good food on your table, healthy food too, she said. So that's kind of stories I was brought up with and speaking to me in our God-given language. And so when I translate from our God-given language into English, I'm losing quite a bit of that. Just like as you see me right now, I'm body language, and sometimes the eyes, sometimes the mouth, and how you turn, how you in. It's sometimes, but right here, you can see me. I wish we could be able to do that to all elderly people when we're asking them questions like this, so we can see their body language, even their eyes, and how their voice even sounds as they go to a story. And so with that, I think I'd like to put a comma there for the time being. Hey, thank you again for asking me to say these few words. I don't know if I made any sense or, but these are the things I like talking about. I grew up with them, and so I just kind of heard them so many times, and it seemed like you didn't see me have a notepad here reminding me what to say out. Because I grew up with them, I've been around them just about all my life. And so I really want to thank my elderly people that passed me. They had thought enough of me that they'd want to relay these stories, the beliefs onto me. And so with that, thank you too for asking me to do this. I don't know what this man here, what's his name?
This is Pete.
Okay, go this way. That's good in Cree sign language. Yeah, but
Pete,
this doesn't mean it's no good.
He's from Scotland, but his kids are Crow. His kids are.
His kids are Hogashe, Mirubache, Ichik.
Thank you. Thank you.
What tribe are you?
Well, to clarify, it's not my kids. It's actually my stepmother's Crow, and as a result, obviously we're pretty close on that side. So yeah, we do spend a lot of time with that side of the family.
Good. Carla?
Thank you so much, Robert. We feel so honored and privileged that you are here today and shared so much with us, so much knowledge with us. We are just so grateful and have so much gratitude for you presenting, and we appreciate your time and we thank you so much. And so with that, I know you might have class or have to get back to your faculty duties there at Stone Child, but again, we appreciate your time and we'll stay in touch.
Okay, thanks. Okay. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Yep. Again, sometimes. Yep. All right. Thanks. Miwasin. I guess I could leave. Okay.